folks, this is Jeff from Jeffro Carves. Alright folks, good morning. First thing you want to do is make sure you've got your gloves on before you get started. This is a 1x1 square piece of basswood, 4 inches long, and this is a really simple project. Anybody could do this project. It's a simple little Santa, and we're just gonna start out by taking off all the corners. We're going to round all the corners off. Really simple little project. And I'm trying something a little different with my lighting today, so hopefully you can see the video a little better. I would appreciate a comment to let me know if this one is any better. So we're just rounding. Hopefully with this little project I can also put the painting on the end of it. I think it's going to be short enough that we could add the paint process on at the end of the video. What we're after here is see how our sides are beginning to get a little closer. We want to be real close with each one of those sides as we round. Okay, so that's about what we're looking for. Fairly round, not perfectly round. And almost all those flat spots on the sides are now gone. Not completely. Okay, so if you're like me, I typically buy these in 6-inch pieces. This is a 4-inch long piece, and I did have to cut it, so I use what I have. I use hacksaw usually to cut off my pieces. I just like doing it that way. If you do cut off one of the ends, you want to make sure that you're using your true end as your bottom and your cut end for the top, because if you're like me again, you don't get your piece, the end that you cut off, perfectly flat every time, and when you set it, he's going to lean a little bit. Even though if I measure and draw lines, and I still, with a hacksaw, it's a little more difficult. So anyway, so here's my true end. I'm going to use this for the top. This is my piece that I cut off, or my end that I cut off. We're going to come down about 3/4 of an inch from the top. No, not 3/4. Let's come down about 5/8. 5/8 from the top. And draw you a little line all the way across the top at 5/8 of an inch down. And we're going to make a little V cuts in there at 5/8. What I mean by V cut, we're putting in a stop cut, and we're coming up to that line, and we're coming down to that line. And then we're going to connect our lines. So at about 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to take off quite a bit here, but we're going to stop before we get too small here at the top, because we don't want to break the top of it off as we're working on the bottom. You could also start to round off that top. What we're looking for is a little ball shape on top. So I've gone about a 1/4 inch deep. Around the top. That's just to start off. You can round it off a little bit. So just looking for a little ball shape. There's a little toboggan ball on top. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, at the halfway point, we're going to make a mark, and you're going to pick one of the sides that still has a little bit of maybe an edge on it, not a flatter side, but a corner side, so that the nose will be a little more pronounced. So 2 inches down, make a little line, and we're gonna, this is gonna be the bottom of his hat, so we're gonna roll it down towards the back on both sides, and just check your front to make sure your two sides are about the same. I'm going to roll it down, and then we're going to flatten the line off in the back again, and those 2 points are going to meet in the back. Okay. Okay, so let's make a V-cut all the way around that line. Or you can take your knife and follow the line. You're going to take little V-cuts out of on the line. Okay, so right above that notch we just put in, we're going to draw us another line right above it, all the way around. Oh, I don't know. Not quite a half an inch. It's your choice really here. You can put it in at a half inch, you could put it in 1/4 inch, or somewhere in between. And we're going to do the same thing. A little bit smaller, a little closer to the line with your V-cut. And again, you could just take your knife and follow it around. You don't want to do little quick V-cuts. Either way is fine. All right, now, so bottom of your hat and the bottom of your piece of wood from in the middle here, probably a little less than an inch, a little closer to the top of the hat. You're going to cut in his nose. You're going to put a stop cut in there. And you're going to cut up to the line. And you're going to connect the sides of his nose. There. Cut out to the bottom of that nose area. Okay, so now the nose we want to stick out farther than the bottom side, so we're going to his mouth area. So we're going to take off some of this bottom area below the nose, just a little at a time. Keep checking to see how much you've got there. You're looking for just that nose to be more pronounced out past the mouth area. Just little shaves at a time. That's all we want. All right, so let's go back to the nose for a minute. Let's go up a little higher. Just keep following the nose up. Do a little cut in there. And then you're going to come up at the top of that cut. Let's go a little bit farther. Top of that cut, you're going to make a 90-degree cut. And then you're going to take out that little corner there. Start making his eye area. I'm trying very hard to stay in frame this time. So you're going to do that with the other side. Make an even cut at the top of the eye. Follow the nose up to that line. and then scoop out that eye area again. Okay. And we'll work on that more later. But you don't want to take off what's between the eye and the bottom of the nose. You want to save this for the cheek area to give him a nice big cheek. Might even come down and take out more at the bottom of the nose, so you make that cheek a little more pronounced. Like I said, we'll work on that more later. Okay, now at this point, let's start. What you're going to do is taper off that hat. The top part of the hat, you want to start tapering it off. Stop at the ball. And this again is a preference. You can have a fatter hat, you can have a skinnier hat. Just periodically stop, check and look at the front. If you like it, you can stop. And you're going to have to start taking off some of the ball on top. And we do want to get rid of the flat spot on the top of the ball. So you could go on and start with that. Go around and cut the ball off, the top of the ball, the flat spot. Then you're going to start rounding the ball. Now I like the ball quite a bit smaller, so I'm going to have, I don't know, a big pea size. Time I get done. Maybe not quite that small, but great big pea. I'm staying in camera. I hope I'm staying in camera. Rounding, rounding, rounding. Okay, so let's go down, almost midway point between the bottom of his nose and the bottom of the piece of wood, almost halfway, centered on his nose. Just draw you a little, put your little point in there, and we're going to draw a line. Make a little triangle with these two lines down from that little dot. Now you're going to go to the top or the bottom of his nose and come down, round it around to meet that other line. Just like so. And you can have a bigger mustache, you could have a smaller one, you could come way out and back in. That's a little bit smaller. that still looks fine. All right, so we're just going to cut those lines. A little stop cut, and then cut that out. Same thing in the middle. Give him a little Yosemite Sam mustache. I forgot this line. And then you're probably going to have to the main idea when you put those cuts in is to go deep enough so you don't have to come back and make several cuts, because then you're going to end up with little spots where you're going to have to shave it out, and it's not going to look as good. You're going to take off the edges, the sharp edges. But if you go deep enough that first time, then you don't have to go back and cut more out. Like that. Take off your edges. And if you cut a little off, just even them up. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to round off all these edges on your V-cuts on this part of the hat, and this top. You're going to cut down on the top and cut up at the bottom. You don't have those sharp edges. And right above the this brim of the cap, you're going to have to flatten some of these spots out so that this is smaller than this, and give it the look of a hat, a real toboggan-y hat. And then you might have to go back and round up some more. Taper from the bottom up. And just take some of his forehead off up to the hat. Like I said, this is a quick Quick little easy project. Round his cheek off a little bit right there beside his nose. Round his cheeks off a little bit. You don't have those real sharp lines. Okay, so now you're going to start about the middle of the nose, and you're just going to scoop back towards the hat. Make sure you don't cut too much though. You don't want to cut too much into his forehead. But we're going to round that off afterwards. It gives his nose a little, nose sticks out a little bit. Coming down towards the end of the nose and take some of that off. Scoop it out, round it up. And cut your eyes back in. You're going to come around and start tapering the back of his head up a little bit. Just taper it up. Scoop down so he'll keep his cheek area. Still trying to just pronounce his nose out there a little bit. Digging down in beside it. Make it stand out a little more. Round off his cheeks a little bit. Alright guys, that's about got it. What I like to do too on the hat is where you've got those long strokes where you took off some long pieces, go back and put in some little cuts, give that hat a little texture look, a lot of little scoops, wood carved scoops. A little better. Alright, I'll clean him up a little bit and I'll come back with the finished guy. Alright folks, there he is all finished up. Took this Scotch-Brite, hit it a few times. Easy little project. Let's go paint him. Okay guys, before we get started painting, I just wanted to show you that I added a face line up here. Here and here. That was for painting purposes mainly. I look back at this guy, he had one, and I just forgot to put it on there a while ago, so I added that to it. Just do a little V cut around his face. Alright folks, to start out we're going to work on his face a little bit. So we're going to take, I don't have a flesh tone, so I'm going to take this yellow ochre and put not even a drop, just a little bit, and I'm going to add some white to it, tone it down a little bit. I'm going to take the big brush and add at least 10 drops of water. Mix him up. We've got kind of a flesh tone there. I'm going to do his face. We might even come back with a little bit of little pink or real lightened up red, so we can rosy up his cheeks a little bit and his nose. You see now where I'm talking about separating his face up there. Alright, so now we're going to use some of this red. I tried the red, my practice piece. I think it's going to be okay. Got several reds, but we'll see how this one turns out. Then I'm going to go full strength with this red on his hat. Get in the middle. I think it's going to be okay for a red. Sometimes I see a little better without my glasses when I'm close. Okay. We're going to take the full strength white I'm not going to put it on the top, on the ball yet. Actually, we're going to let this dry just a little bit first. Alright, we're giving that some drying time. Now we're going to add some white to his hat. And this again is full strength white. And if your colors bleed down, you get some on the other side, you can go back and just paint over. Darker colors can cover up the lighter colors a little easier. Actually, a whole lot easier. So don't fret if you get paint where it shouldn't be. You can always correct it. And another way you can correct it is take your knife and just cut that area back off. So we're going to go on and do the top now with the full strength white. If you've got paint on your hands, make sure you're not touching the carving with that hand. So many times I've touched an area and had to go back just because I had paint somewhere on my hand, which I do right now. Now, he's starting to look a little like Santa. Let that dry again. We'll come back. Okay, what I did in here, I just put a little bit of black in with that white, and we're going to make a little bit of gray. Hopefully it'll make a little bit of gray. So I'm going to put clean water. Start off with about 10 drops there of water. Had I don't know, about a drop of white and just a smear, a little tiny smear of black in to make that gray. Now what we're going to do with that is we're going to go over the rest of everything. I'm going to take a little tiny brush and get up in these corners, but I like to use this brush for everything else. Sometimes I use a toothpick to get up in these little areas. It's a little stiffer, it's a little easier. But this is a brush that I've just cut the tip of. If it'll focus in. I just cut the bristles off way back, made them stiff right at the point, and that allows me to get places I can't get to with the other brushes. Alright, we'll let that dry up, and we'll add a little pink to his face and probably some white. We'll smear some white on the gray for his beard and hair. Okay, so what we're going to try to do here is, I've got a completely dry brush, hasn't been in the water at all, and I've got some more white paint in here. So I'm going to take the white paint and we're going to go over the gray. Hopefully we're just barely going to, I think they call it dry brush, we're going to wipe a lot of the paint off. It may take more than that. And we're going to go over the gray very lightly. And we might like it, we might not. Just make sure you wipe a lot of your white off before you go to the piece with it. If you get too much in one area, make sure you spread it out. I'm going to try to give him a gray and white hair look. Get too much, just wipe some off, come back and brush it off. Make it blend together. Okay, it turned out pretty good. So there's the difference. The white gone back over the gray and just the gray. So now let's try to add a little pink to his cheeks. So what I'm going to do is, the red that I've got left in here, I'm going to take my little tiny brush and I'm just going to get just a hair of red on the end of that. And I'm going to put it in the white that I've got left over. And it's probably not even a drop of white in there. It might be a half a drop of white. I'm stirring together and making just a little bit of pink. Now I'm even going to add a couple of drops of water. It's got some pink in it. That's what happens when you put your glasses on top of your head. So you can see better. Alright, I'm going to use that same little tiny brush. I'm going to put it on this guy first. He's the guy we're not working on. I'm going to put it on and I'm going to wipe it off. As you can tell, that's not pink enough. So we're going to add a little more red. Okay, so we've got just a little bit more red, and I took it right out of here with this little tiny guy, and I just stirred it around a couple of times. If it's still not dark enough, there we go. There's a little pink. And I'm still going to wipe it off. I'm going to put it on the end of his nose here a little bit. And I'm wiping it off because I don't want it that dark. I just want a hint. Alright, for this guy, our guy, I'm going to paint it on. Let's just wipe it off. Thought maybe we could leave it full strength, but I don't like it. All right, guys. I guess I could have painted his white and You'd have two for the price of one. That's going to do it. Quick, little, easy guy. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. And please leave comments. I am open for lots of comments. I'd like to see some constructive criticism. So you can't hurt my feelings. But I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.